yet another edition of the show. Our gratitude will go to the Most High God for the rare privilege of being alive and, of course, the opportunity of having another conversation around the top stories making the rounds here in our dear Republic. I'll let you into our panel for the morning's conversation shortly. But let's take a look at the front pages of our newspapers. Daily Graphic. Rosewood business banned. Order takes immediate effect. How many times are we going to ban Rosewood? Speedy development that Hygiene Kotoku assured. Government takes up cost of separating Siamese twins. Parliament approved allowances for presidential spouses upon Nkrumah. Daily Guide. Massive fire rocks Makola. A few other runs from Fix the Country after NDC tag. Nana rescues Siamese twins. We must put Ghana first. The New Crusading Guide. Akufo-Addo rescues conjoined twins. Pays 3 million cedis for their surgery. Government to award 85 million Ghana cedis new scholarships to 55,000 beneficiaries. Shai Osudoku traditional leaders reject Fred Ofe's appointment as DC. Appeal to Akufo-Addo to ignore him. Alan Chirmantin donates 20,000 Ghana cedis to build NPP Volta Regional Office. Obrimpong Weche Kojo II is Jamestown Manche, House of Chiefs. The Insight. Totobi Kwachi, he blames Akufo-Addo for insecurity and killings in Ghana. LPG price shoots up. 1 kilo now 7 cedis, highest in West Africa. Demonstration alert, U.S. Embassy warns citizens in Ghana. Nungwa installs Nibola Bitesa as diaspora chief. How Ghana lost 1.89 billion cedis to judgment debt in 2 decades. The Daily Statesman. A draft probe committee begins sitting today. Outright ban on rosewood exports. Government says directive takes immediate effect. Fire destroys 4-story building at Makola. Daily Post. Big demo today. Protesters at today's demo to adhere to strict COVID-19 safety protocols. Blame the abuse of citizens and militarization of the state on Akufo-Addo, APAC. Speaker petitioned over Tema West MP. Be candid with Ghanaians on COVID-19 situation, minority to government. Economy Times. Cedi depreciation slows for first half of 2021. Replace captured ATM cards for free, Bank of Ghana to banks. ENI Springfield unitization. Energy expert simplifies the technicalities. That's part 1 of that. Business and Financial Times. Public servants see lowest pay rise in a decade. Pay goes up by 4.7% in 2021-2022. Labor unhappy with quantum. Government cites job sustainability and economic recovery. IEPA won't negatively affect AFCFTA's prospects, EU ambassador. Rather an opportunity for manufacturing sector. GCX creates wider market for 320,000 smallholder farmers, set to begin cashew auctions this July. FDA warns exporters over goods repatriation damages. KGL Group supports national teams with sponsorship package. Feature. Set sail on a new journey to start a new chapter and embrace digitization to navigate real estate disruptions. Realtor. And that's about it for the front pages. We'll be back shortly.
Handkerchief gets dirty and wet after wiping your sweat or blowing your nose with it. Keeping a dirty handkerchief in your pocket or bag is very unhygienic. Reusing it increases your chances of getting sick from germs. That is why I always use Flora disposable handkerchief. Flora disposable handkerchiefs is disposable, thus making it a more hygienic option. It's thick and very absorbent. With 10 tissues in a pack, Flora disposable handkerchief is better than a cloth handkerchief.
Mommy.
For Flora toilet roll, Flora multi-purpose paper towels, Flora table napkins, and Flora box tissues in a shop near you. For both purchases, call Delta Paper Mail on 0243 033 033.
Yenimsa Whoopie football pa. And Nuntina High Sense as sponsor Euro 2020. Edia Mauno. Nisa Suntina Yatiti TV Suse who? Edia Mauno. A High Sense Euro 2020 TV Super Promo. Kwajo brand new Hisense TV and ne board that for pictures near clear na color near deep sound quality this dear one it here Hisense TV so dear entry power about down one access you are akona utu sa barefoot 18th June akopim 11th July a Hisense Hero 2020 TV super promo e ma refisa Hisense kwa na ma 5 years warranty a Hisense Hero 2020 TV super promo akoso Hisense showrooms at Ghana for Nanyina. What you dear Nansenya? Hisense, everyday prices for everyday people. Hisense, official sponsor at the Euro 2020.
Are you tired as a consumer in Ghana when it comes to issues that confront you as a consumer? Worry no more. Coffee Capital, I'm here to give you the information, all that you need to make sure that your right is protected as a consumer. We have too many laws and agencies that should protect the rights of the consumer. I'm here to give you the information that will help and assist you to get goods and services delivered to you without any worries. Watch the Capito Show on Metro TV.
Right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. With me on the show this morning, I have Alhaji Al-Hassan Suhini, who is the Member of Parliament for the Tamale North constituency on the ticket of the NDC. Good morning.
Morning, boss.
Also with me on the show this morning is a former Deputy Minister of Health and also former Member of Parliament for the Lajokuku constituency, Dr. Okoboy Bernard. Good morning, Doc.
Manche. And your program in your allow red can be a program. The program get what's the word? Specific requirements. People should not bring their issues into your studio, Randy.
Did they send you a dress at time?
Even this morning, while I was coming here, I was stopped by two guys, some of the demonstrators. They've come around.
Yeah.
So you have to increase your.
They've come here.
It means there are that many in town that you are almost likely to run
these are
into
a
them,
few,
which is impressive.
A few lost demonstrators.
Which is impressive.
Oh, they can't find their way to the venue.
They are coming for cocoa from Sweden. They have to eat before.
Well, it's because you have made the economy that bad that people who shouldn't depend on others for cocoa are now doing so.
On an empty stomach for you to benefit in the future.
Well, you have made the system so hard that those who shouldn't depend on people are now.
Well, yesterday was a 60th birthday of a very good friend of mine, a Caucasian who loves Ghana to bits. You know, anytime I'm in California, he's the one who sorts me out and takes me everywhere. But he's in Ghana, actually at Ashresu, near Ebri. Chris Hannett, yesterday was your 60th birthday. So Chris, happy 60th birthday to you, and thanks for the wooden shirt you gave me yesterday. So happy 60th to you, Chris, and I hope to see you this weekend.
Randy,
So
yes.
where will you be taking him?
Our senior.
Where will you be taking him since he
Chris,
takes you everywhere?
Chris knows Ghana
More
than I do, you know, and he loves Ghana,
Right.
so he prefers to stay here. So
have his holidays here.
yes,
That's
and he's at Ashresu in there just relaxing in the bush.
Ghana is a beautiful place to relax, except that when you leave here, the troubles don't allow you.
You see,
Yeah.
Caucasians are coming here for holidays.
Especially when you have
Chris
people
has
like
been coming here the last 10 years.
But at least if the security situation is that bad, he would have advised himself. But I'm not surprised. Many people like
Were you ever a DJ?
Oh man,
I've never come across a medical doctor who spins like you.
I tell you.
So we welcome him back. At least he's still coming. And you know, our brother buried the father over the weekend, Gabi.
Oh, okay,
Yes. And I don't know, but that's the way the world operates. When things go wrong, the news sells quickly. If you look at the way the funeral was held, they very strictly obeyed the protocols. If I joined virtually, a lot of folks joined virtually, and that's the way we want to go encourage people. So our condolences to him. It was a well-organized funeral. If you look at the church, a few people were in the church. Most of us were advised to join virtually, and I'm happy that people are getting used to these virtual services. So all the best to the family. Some of us, we lost ours many years ago, so we've adapted and adjusted, and I believe that he has the strength to adjust quickly. Yeah.
Well, maybe let me also take this opportunity to wish the family my heartfelt condolences, and also congratulate them for the way they handled the funeral. But also take the opportunity to wish Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa same heartfelt condolences. He also lost his dad some few days ago, and our condolences and commiserations are in order, and we'll be with him throughout the typical journey. Like Doc said, some of us experienced it some 8-9 years ago, and so we are experienced enough to console and guide them through it. He was an old man, and was also ill for a while, and it still does not take away the loss. As we say in Dagbani that the elderly man leaning against the wall is always better than the grave in the family. Their presence is always more important than pointing to their grave. So our commiserations to the family of Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa.
Once we're on the commiserations tangent, as a government that, this politics we do is all about people. We want to lift people up, we want to add to their quality of life, we want to support them to enjoy a better world. So when you hear that some of your own have experienced fire outbreaks that has actually raised down their goods and all that, it is important, like Bible said, to mourn with them, to commiserate with them. And those traders at Mokola who had their items involved in the fire, this morning, our sympathies. I would urge...
The biggest talking point, however, in that fire outbreak has been
the water
inability of the state to help them out when the state's assistance through the Ghana National Fire Service was badly needed. And it even gets worse looking at the proximity, of the fire station and where...
What specifically do you mean by the state?
The response of the fire service.
Is it that they took so long, or because from what I gather yesterday, apparently their response time, the number of vans that came, were all sufficient, except that the water from the hydrant, apparently they said the pressure was low, so it couldn't fill their tank. So they had to go to another place that had the required pressure to fill their tank. I mean, that is something that we should not take as a normal thing. We should do an audit to investigate what really the issue was. Is it that it's a technical problem that made the pressure low? What made it possible for another site to have the required pressure, but not the ones that they said they could access within the vicinity? I mean, I listened to the breaking story, and that is what I gathered, that they had sufficient vans, they had the men, but the source of water, the hydrant that was within the precincts, the pressure was low. What they do in other places is that anytime things don't go according to book, they do an audit, a thorough one, with the intention that next time it will help to deliver better service. That is the impression I got yesterday.
Well, I think that I agree with you that the response time could have been better. If you followed the reports, it's also suggested that at some point the hydrants were at the scene, but were unable to function because of a number of reasons. One being the low hydrant pressure, and the other being congestion in the area, and the third also being the logistics with which they first went to the scene with. Given the nature of the building that was on fire, the hydrants were not enough. They needed the ladder, the one with the ladder that stretches to the top. And
what was the ladder?
I understand it arrived very late. So the question will be, why did it arrive that late? And for it to have taken them 5 hours plus, to put the fire off in just one building is not good enough. I mean, it could have, given the nature of the structures around that place, 5 hours, we are just lucky that it did not, escalate into other buildings. And the Ghana Commercial Bank is just nearby. That's a state property with, the kind of things that they will have in that bank. So 5 hours, I think, wasn't a very good, response time. And perhaps it also speaks to the the constant need to retool the fire service. I don't recall them having some, revamping of their tools since the last fire I think in 2009 at the Foreign Affairs Ministry, when the NDC President Mills government, based on that, equipped the fire service with even some of these ladders that they were able to use yesterday. I have heard a number of times complaints from the service regarding even human resource issues that tend to affect morale when it comes to their performance. The fact that junior officers are recruited and promoted over senior officers, people with experience are not given the opportunity, and sometimes it's all based on political patronage. And I've heard them also complain about some of their equipments that have become obsolete over the years, because like I said, since 2009 you have not had any serious push with regard to their their equipment needs. So maybe this should be another wake-up call for us to look at retooling them further, given especially the fact that architecture is evolving, and all across the country, the kind of buildings that are coming up, we do not pray for some of these disasters, but they are parts of life, and we need to be prepared to deal with those disasters when they come up, and I think we need to be better prepared than we were yesterday.
All right, okay. So I'm sure that is a running story. We'll continue discussing that, but those are the pictures you're actually seeing on your screen.
Ghana is a very interesting country. You have ordinary citizens wrestling for space with fire officers to attend to fire. Who are you, the citizens? You are not trained in fire control, right near the action. So we got to learn.
When I was watching it, also, what came to my mind was also, maybe in some cases, yes, it's attitudinal. Some people may have just left their jobs to come and watch. But it also speaks to a certain laissez-faire attitude that we have with life. Because seriously, when accidents happen and you find a number of people who are willing to just forget of what they were originally doing to pay attention, to go to the scene.
Your basics have been taken care of. You can afford to be taking videos.
You wonder why we can afford to waste that much time. Yeah. It's as if all those who were hanging around and watching originally didn't have anything doing.
By the time it's allotted, it's small compared to what those who be taking part in your demonstrations.
The demonstration is an important,
we'll get
there.
So don't.
Be candid with Ghanaians on COVID-19 situation, minority to government. And the minority in Parliament has asked the government to be candid with Ghanaians on the true state of the COVID-19 situation in the country. The call was part of a 5-point recommendation the minority gave the government on Monday, July 5, 2021, on the back of the outbreak of the highly transmissible COVID-19 Delta variant at the Achimota School in Accra. Speaking to the media on Monday, July 5, 2021, the ranking member on the Health Committee of Parliament, Kwabena Mintakando, said the government must return to the regime of aggressive testing and contact tracing. Quote, government must revert to its initial plan on testing by conducting routine surveillance tests, enhanced contact tracing tests, and also effective testing of all incoming travelers, not just at Kotoka International Airport, but across our seaports and land borders. The caucus also called on the government to, within a week, produce a genomic sequencing policy of the COVID-19 outbreak in the country to facilitate early detection of the new variants. Immediately put in measures and produce within a week an effective genomic sequencing policy for COVID-19 that is credible and effective enough to facilitate the early detection of all COVID-19 variants and the extent of their spread within Ghanaian communities. Release approved funds for the various health institutions and agencies so they can better perform their duties. Fast-track the procurement of vaccines through appropriate channels to secure vaccines for the remaining 19 million Ghanaians it promised to vaccinate this year. Meanwhile, the Ghana Health Service had earlier indicated that the country may take delivery of additional COVID-19 vaccines towards the end of July 2021. The director of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kuma Abuaji, at a press briefing on the management of the outbreak in the country on Sunday, July 4, 2021, said Plans are far advanced to secure some vaccines by the end of July 2021. He also urged the citizenry to continue adhering to the established COVID-19 safety protocols. According to him, that is the only way infections can be reduced to the barest minimum. The non-adherence to the COVID-19 protocols is a concern, and the confirmation of the Delta variant within the community is also a concern for us. So we are urging all Ghanaians that you don't need any further measures and that all the existing measures still work. Washing of hands, wearing of nose mask, avoiding crowds is very important, whatever the variant you have. So we all need to be sure that this is really enforced. A lot is ongoing, and we have indications that we may be getting some vaccines probably towards the end of the month. But the challenge is that a lot more is going on from COVAX and the donation from the USA, and of course, efforts to buy. Dr. Okoboy, the minority says you should be candid with Ghanaians.
Let me say a very good morning to all your viewers and to my brothers, sisters watching from the Lejikoku constituency. Let me also say a very good morning to the majority and minority leaders, Honorable Seche Mensah-Bosu and Honorable Haruna Idrisu, and then to my brother Akando. And you know, I know Akando means well, especially on this one. There are a few occasions where it's more propaganda inside. But this one, I know it means well. And let me give the assurance to the public that in our management of COVID, to be honest with you, we've always been outright, forthright, and frank. When you listed his recommendations, I don't see much difference between the things he's talking about and what the Ghana Health Service is really doing. Look, when the Delta variant was first reported by one particular media house, what they said was that they said two things. They said, one, the variant was here in Ghana, and then two, the AstraZeneca vaccine was not effective. AstraZeneca and Sputnik were not effective against these two. They quoted Professor Wandare of the West African Center for Cell Biology and Infectious Pathogens, and he came out and outrightly denied what they had said. In fact, he said they actually misquoted him, and that he said, one, the Delta variant had been isolated in samples from travelers. And I remember myself saying on one platform that, strictly speaking, the variant is not in the community. But once you isolate it in your jurisdiction, it is captured as being discovered in your country. Now, the second thing which the media house reported, which was also more or less caused fear and panic and was untrue, had to do with the fact that AstraZeneca, which is the main one that we've rolled out in this country, was ineffective against the Delta variant. All the studies done across the world, in South America, in North America, in Europe, show that you get significant protection from infection when you take AstraZeneca against the Delta variant. In fact, protection against severe illness, should you even get infected, is about 92% and 96% for Pfizer. So those are matters that we cleared. Now, there are those who are creating the impression that we denied Delta variant some weeks ago and now it has been discovered. Until you discover it scientifically, you cannot say it is so. What happened recently is that we had some, as Ghana Health Service reported, between I think 14th and 16th, we had some students in one of our high schools that reported sick with flu symptoms. And when they checked, that's between 14th and 16th of June, when they did a test, they were positive for COVID. The Ghana Health Service quickly, Greater Accra activated their public health emergency response and then did a testing for all the contacts. So, you know, they took about, how many samples? We had about over 500 samples taken, and in fact, 843 people were sampled. 348 were boarding students, 459 were day students, and 36 teachers, teaching and non-teaching staff. Randy, it is the positive cases that were gotten from the cases at this high school that when we sampled for genomic sequencing, we realized that we had some of the Delta variants in there. As we speak, in Ghana, the dominant variant is still the Alpha variant. That's the one, the UK variant, which is about 34% of the 1,000 212 samples that we sequenced. Delta variant is about 3%. So really, we've been fortunate. Immediately, we sampled the Delta variant. We came out to communicate. I don't know what could be more transparent than that. I'm happy to also say that the 135 positive cases, almost all of them were asymptomatic to mild. So by the grace of God, they are in good shape. Have more than 2/3 have recovered. We have about 41 active cases that in a week or so we expect also to recover according to our protocols. Now let me, maybe you ask follow-up questions, but let me land on this. Randy, I brought some data here just to let us understand that even in the countries where they have the strictest of measures, where maybe their compliance to COVID protocols might be higher than ours, they still record some cases. Now, where COVID has gotten to, we need to appreciate the fact that for now, it will be almost impossible to have 0 cases. Usually you have some number of cases. In every country now have their threshold, their baseline number of cases, which more or less they treat as the endemic level. Just like cholera, as we speak, if you have 1 case of cholera reporting to police hospital, there will be no news. But once you get 100 cases of cholera in a particular community, that is an outbreak. It means you are recording more cases than the baseline or the threshold. And so Ghana, Randy, for some time, we've realized that the number of cases that when we record, it doesn't really threaten our situation on the average daily. We are talking about less than 50 cases. So if we record between 10 to 30 cases daily, we find ourselves having a national number of about 1,000, 1,002. That has been more or less our baseline or threshold. Immediately you start recording more than 50 cases daily, then you know that there might be an outbreak somewhere. And it is true, over the past 3 weeks, we had some 2 or 3 outbreaks, one at the high school in Accra, we had one at Ahafo and somewhere in Kumasi. But I'm happy to say that they basically are under control. The 3 things you have to do when you have an outbreak is what the Ghana Health Service is doing, which is to go in there, isolate the cases, test all their contacts, treat them, and make sure that you contain the spread so that it doesn't move on. And we are not really in danger. It doesn't mean that we should also be laissez-faire with our protocols. I've heard people say that, but how come the Delta variant is in Ghana when you are doing testing at the airport? And Randy, to be honest with you, all measures that you put in place in Ghana and anywhere in the world normally aim at reducing the risk of importation of the virus or spread. Honestly, no measure guarantees you 0 risk. You try to reduce your risk as much as possible. And that is what we are doing. I mean, like I mentioned the last time, in April, we had a total number of 306 positive cases at the airport. Some, of course, had the Delta variant. In May, it came down to 108. In June, 134. Now, if the 134 cases in June had all entered without, let's say, a testing at the airport, it's possible that our situation now could have been 10 times what it is. So, really and truly, all your efforts are supposed to reduce your risk, but it cannot be 0. I mean, especially when you have porous borders, some coming in. Even at the airport, you can pick someone who is positive. Their contact, someone who is sitting by them might be negative, later can also be positive. So we should understand that we work hard to make sure that Ghana, our situation is one that is under control, so that we don't get to the December Christmas situation where a lot of folks had to report very sick to the hospitals and all that. I don't want to start quoting the figures from Kenya, Germany, and other places, but really, if you start looking at the global situation, you appreciate that our situation is not one that is very disheartening.
What do you say to those who say that we are not aggressively testing, and so perhaps we should be careful how we use the figures we have to explain our situation?
Yeah, I heard someone said that what we are testing might actually be the tip of the iceberg. But interestingly, that description is apt. In public health, the cases you report, you, the health manager, always assume or should assume that your situation is the tip of the iceberg and that at the base, the real situation is bigger than what you are seeing. Randy, I'm saying so because no country tests absolute numbers, as in every one. Every country normally does some measure of testing. It is true some countries do better than others. In Africa, the first 10 countries that test per million of their population, higher numbers, the first 10, Ghana is part of the first 10. South Africa, I think, is in the lead. Now, because we, per million of our population, because ours is not that bad in terms of comparing to our colleagues on the continent, it would be unfair to assume that Ghana is having a false picture because we are not testing. What I would, and I can say is that largely over the years, our testing has actually given us something that is close to real. And I'm saying so because anytime our numbers have gone up, so you realize that it is reflected in the hospitals, our hospital situation. So if you take December, January, for example, you had a lot of calls where people say, look, I want a bed in Kolibu. I know someone who is sick. You hear of a friend who drops dead and all that. So really, when our cases go up, our reported cases, active cases go up, it is reflected also in the deaths and the percentage that are sick. And I've said it before, Rani, and it's one of the ways to know whether your country is hiding figures or they are being honest. If a country decides not to test so that they will avoid criticism that they are having more cases, they normally get exposed downstream. Because the way this infection operates is that if you have, let's say, 1,000 cases, normally 5 to 10% will be critically ill. And that so if you have 1,000, we expect 50 to 100 to be ill. So that if it jumps to 5,000, the percentage who will be ill also goes up. So assuming Ghana is supposed to have 5,000 active cases, and we are playing around and say we have 1,000, it is Rich and Kolebu and Nyaho that will start exposing the country with a lot of cases filling the wards. But that is not the situation we are having. So I am comforted by the fact that largely when I talk to the Rich director, I talk to Nyaho, and those places that are treatment centers, they are either half empty or, they don't have much patients. So really, I can say that the reported cases we are having now is a reflection, not an absolute reflection because you don't test everybody, but largely it's a reflection of our situation. And again, it doesn't call for complacency. Why not? If we have 4,000 active cases, the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Kuma Bwaji and the rest, they are technical people. There will be no gain in trying to hide the figures. And as a country, we should trust those people we pay, especially these technocrats, when they tell us that our active case count is, as we speak currently, about 1,600. That is the situation. And should it be a different case, it will be reflected in our hospital, that's the rate of hospitalization and death. I will not cite the country, but there's one country that denied COVID. They ended up losing even their president. And as at the time they were denying COVID, I had reports from their country that their hospitals were full. People were lying on benches outside and couldn't get space. And yet, the leader said COVID was not in their country. And for some reason, only God knows all these things. He himself became more or less a victim. So Randy, our approach has been the honest, frank one, where we say what the situation is. Delta was isolated in the traveler. Professor Wandari said it was here. It is true, but it was not in the population then. Now it's in the population. We've come out to say that we've isolated it. It's 3%. It's not a majority, but it's a signal to the population that still take care of yourself. By way of public education, the biggest risk remains being in an enclosed room with friends and not wearing the mask. Even if you are few, you don't know the one. You don't know where the one you are talking to has been, and you always have to be on guard. And that's why I'm wearing the mask. I don't know where this potential demonstrator has been or will be going. So I'm taking care of myself.
So I'll take care of what saying, and then we'll come to discuss the issue of the vaccines. I have some.
You have some sources that can help us now.
I have 19 questions.
19.
In what capacity? As the host of this program, or what?
It should have been 10 questions, but I have 19.
I say, Randy, Sweeney will answer 9, and I'll take 10.
No,
I
the
want
10
to,
would have been for both of you, but
Okay.
since you guys prefer to buy at 19, I'll reserve what at 19.
Randy. So it's the price of the
I
vaccine.
see. Anyway,
19 questions for $19.
the $19 when it should have been 10
Oh, look at
questions for $10.
Okay, you come there.
I want to believe Dr. Okoboy, but Randy, every step of the way, government and those put in charge of ensuring our safety as far as COVID is concerned, make it very difficult for one to absolutely believe the information that is churned out. For example, listening to Dr. Okoboy, he speaks of the fact that as far back as April, the cases at the airport included the Delta variant. And yet, somewhere 22nd June, after the media reported the detection of Delta in the country, the Ghana Health Service issued a statement to deny categorically that it was in the country. Only a week after, just 1 week, and it is in our community. Just 1 week. I mean, yes, time. We know the gestation period of these things is not 1 week. Can I finish? Please let me finish.
Forgive me just a second.
So that you can do your intervention when I'm done. Thank you. So these inconsistencies make it difficult for you to trust wholly the information that comes out from this, state institutions, because clearly from the information I have been given previously, it should not take 1 week for the Delta variant to be detected in the community. Only a week after I am told that it's not in the community yet. When you question this, you are now told that as far back as April, it was already detected at the airport. So why did it have to take the media to first, report of the possibility of it being in our community, and then take the health service to deny that, and only a week to confirm that? The layman can't understand that. And so it makes it difficult for you to trust some of these sources. And you see, yes, that's why you will have an opportunity after I'm done. Now, as far back as June last year, what we know is that the routine surveillance had, almost become non-existent. Enhanced contact tracing almost ceased. And we also know, quite apart from the scandal associated with the testing at our borders, that it is the only place where testing is done of people who are, coming into this country. Yet, we have countless number of land borders in this country that also, admit people into this country. So, really, when some of us say that it is by the grace of God and to some extent individual responsibility that has ensured that our situation looks better than other African countries, some people do not understand. But the individual responsibility I speak of, include, for example, the media, independently providing us with information with regard to the nature of the virus and how to prevent oneself and family from getting it, and also even warning us, like in the case of the Delta variant, being the first to tell us about the possibility of its existence. That is individual responsibility taken by the media, which to some extent has, encouraged people who may have lost their guard to pick it up and still be cautious because the variant is around. If you were going to depend on the official sources, you would have listened to the Ghana Health Service only to be surprised in your community about the existence of the Delta variant. Again, when you talk of individual, responsibility, you talk of the laboratories, the research centers, who for the last 6 months have not had any, funds even released to them. Only recently, I hear some of them were given some paltry sum, just recently, after operating for more than 6 months without funding. Some of the laboratories are struggling as we speak now to even get the reagents that they use for some of these tests. So clearly, it makes it very, very difficult for you to believe some of the information that comes out of it. Now, we also have the issue of a target of vaccinating 20 million people. We're assured that things were put in place to ensure that the population got vaccinated. As we speak, we're under 1 million people who are being vaccinated. And we are engulfed or we are currently debating over whether or not we could have gotten these vaccines even cheaper than we are contracting it at the price at which we are contracting it for. So the whole handling of the situation does not give you confidence that the people who are paid by our taxes and who have the first or utmost responsibility of ensuring that they get out of this are really on top of their brief. And that is why I agree, maybe the only agreement with Dr. Okoboy, that we all need to be very responsible, like take our destiny into our own hands and engage in the protocols that we know can serve us best. Social distance, use the masks, hand wash frequently, and avoid public places as much as possible. That is the way that we can save ourselves. But I think that state institutions, the state handlers, need to up their game. They need to do better than they have done so far. The boast of how well we are doing compared to other African countries, I find sometimes very empty, because even if you look at the reference material that is used, often you are told World Health Organization and others have all said Ghana is handling it well. But read the basis upon which they say we are handling well. They usually will make references to our policies, our announced policies and programs. But fortunately, you and I have the opportunity to live in this country, and we know the difference between the announced policies and programs and the actual, implementation. So somebody outside, hearing that, for example, we have passed a law on COVID is excited and thinks that, well, Ghana seems to be doing well. That is a policy that has been announced. That is a program that is to be implemented. But fortunately, you and I know what is happening. We know that law is gathering dust on the shelf. We know really that we are not working with it. So most of the assessments that are being done that turn out to be positive are based on policies and programs we have announced. But those of us who live in the country know the effect of those policies and what really the extent that we take these announced policies to. I cannot end without also talking about the corruption that has been associated with the whole handling. In fact, Transparency International has flagged Ghana as one of the countries that use the phrase or the term "not in normal times" to almost sidestep all procurement regulations in the handling of COVID, which has led to, in their view, a lot of corrupt practices. Other institutions have actually even done direct investigations and have come out with very, revealing corrupt practices associated with the handling of COVID. I have even come across some contract documents that leaves you wondering. It's not just about procuring the Russian vaccine at $19 when we clearly now know we could have got it for less. It's also even about procuring towels, the tea rolls that we use. I have seen a contract document where that tea roll that is sold on the streets of Accra at 37 for less than 50 Ghana cedis was purchased for 157 Ghana cedis for one. 157 Ghana cedis for one. Yes, tea roll, just the tissue paper. Yeah, the tissue paper that you get on the streets being sold for that's not even a wholesale price.
Maybe it's a special kind.
Not a special kind, same brand. Really? Supplied, yes, same brand that is supplied.
Maybe be careful. Maybe it's infused with some some chemicals or something.
I know you are being mischievous because clearly the brand is the same. And I know that the supplier is even the same supplier who supplies to the people who go to wholesale and hawk it on the street for less than 50 Ghana cedis. I mean,
and it was contracted for how much?
About 150 Ghana cedis, 157 actually Ghana cedis. I mean, so it's just unfortunate. We also know about the revelations that have come out of Frontiers. And how the contract was entered into, and how the company is making so much at the expense of state institutions like the Ghana Airport Company and Civil Aviation and others. So it tells you that clearly the approach, it's nothing to write home about. It could have been better, and it is unfortunate that in this very difficult situation, state handlers are not focused on saving lives, but are focused on helping their friends' businesses and sometimes just giving them an opportunity to be rich. I mean, to what end? We are dying and you are focused on making money so that you alone will enjoy in the world. What kind of mentality is that?
All right. I need to, just hold on. I mean, people are profiting from the pandemic. I also need to profit from the program. We'll be back shortly.
In Ghana and in Africa, there is only one place to look to get that luxurious design and decor for your offices and homes. Visit Jamila Home. We give you the climax of luxury wherever you find yourself. Presidential and executive office furniture, living room sets, dining set, stunning mirrors, adorable wallpapers, lovely king and queen size beds, valuable antiques and antique goods, beautiful chandeliers and more. Into the bargain, we provide caring customer service, prompt delivery service, skilled and artistic full house design and decor services, and free decor ideas for your space. Our products and service is unparalleled, boasting of top-tier clients all over the globe. Jamila Home, home of first-class quality furniture, beautiful chandeliers, and antiques.
HD logo the bottom. When you say HD local channels na mo hedo. And so pictures ni clear. E 5 times better. As other channels that go be show hormone. So the way mention mo tram ra ka why. Oh, what the pictures.
Who knows tomorrow?
What the picture? What do AD plus decoder or multi TV and now electroland agent PR natural local channels now HD the here so better
Star 879 hash
numbers from the box and now the advert AD channels ni na. Look.
Get an HD Plus decoder from now till the 9th of August for just $89.99 Ghana cedis and enjoy 3 months free subscription. Enjoy all the excitement and live sports action in the HD Plus Air Bosso Fili promo. Promo lasts from 7th June to 9th August 2021. Visit hd-plus.com.gh or call 024-243-9872 for more info.
Half a nose for good things.
Right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV, and just got back from a commercial break, try to make some money off the show, whilst others make money off the pandemic.
Randy,
yes, sir.
You know, because you are my senior brother, I wouldn't complain to Media Commission. But
that word.
Oh, take your time. But to end on the note that
I can type your complaint for you.
Oh wait. To end on the note that you also have to go and make some profits during the break, and that some people are making profits on the pandemic.
Is it the first time you've heard me say that?
Well,
or you want us to go back to frontiers?
The first time you went on break, you see, you landed on that to go on a break, and Sweeney was so happy. I mean, it's
no. Sometimes
but
I like not sometimes. I like smart breaks, and so to connect things like that, I just get.
People are profiting from a pandemic.
Yes.
I also went to profit from the program. At least I'm being honest.
Randy, you see,
that I'm going to profit from the program.
Randy, you see, this is a private organization.
Yes.
You survive based on the margins,
yes,
the profits you make.
Yes.
We all have agreed that we have moved away from absolute state. Is it socialism where the state does its business? In doing most projects, you have the state more or less contracting private organizations to be involved in doing things. Now, respectfully, although we are fighting a pandemic, if let's say the state recruits someone to provide, let's say, sanitizer, once the fellow is a company that is in business, if I'm told that the fellow is making profits, I would honestly not be surprised. So really, I mean, no business comes to do work for government on charity, unless it's an NGO or it's a civil society organization that wants to support government with its services.
I'm really interested in this part, and I would read out a few of our procurement laws to you.
Oh no, Randy, you see, and
you know, and
Randy, and honestly,
but I've just been told that we have a link to the demonstration.
But Randy, they are truncating.
So our reporters Henry Kwesi Bedu and Shadrach Ejari are actually there.
And this is your producer.
And so
I don't trust
Annie.
him. No, not Annie.
Annie is the producer.
No, the guy in the studio. You know, so I should wait.
So let's let's connect.
Why is the DCE working? Because you see, you've gone to arrest people that are close to the DCE, and we know that there's information that this young man never supported the agenda of the DCE, and the DCE was hurt. So if you're going to arrest him, well, you see, are we living in an animal farm? So, Chief, I am saying that this is just the beginning. This one is just the beginning, and this one is just the beginning.
But you are the national organizer, and today you are embarking on this demonstration. After today, do you think, like you mentioned before, sometimes the things are said and then we don't get any results? Do you think after today you are going to make any progress with this demonstration?
Let President Akufo-Addo know that we have too many plans. That he must arrest the situation now. Where we get up in the morning, fuel prices go up. The tractor drivers are feeling it. Taxi drivers are feeling it. Uber drivers are feeling it. You, your company, you are feeling it. Everybody, that is part of the justice. Let President Akufo-Addo not listen to us. He will be surprised. Champion organizer. Champion organizer.
So, what main cue or message should incumbent government take from this demonstration today?
What?
The main message you are sending out to them for them to take or take caution from?
Just advise them that we are Ghanaians, that we are also part of Ghana. We have heard the comment of Ursula that they are now in charge of their country. But they shouldn't forget that I still carry my Ghanaian passport around. And that when we get to that bridge, where we have to advise him, since he will not listen, he will listen.
He will listen, that is to say?
That is to say he will listen.
So you heard from the national organizer, Joshua Akamba, who will still be among the people to find out if we could get more of the executives to speak to. But on my extreme left, we are having people coming in with a whole band, drumming their displeasure around and then preparing themselves for the demonstration. We are still looking out for more people. There I can see Fifi Gote with Kesala Tofasin. Good morning, sir, and welcome to Metro.
How are you? Good morning.
Fine, thank you, sir. You are looking very young, and is there anything different happening? Anything different happening from your side?
You mean personally or?
Yeah, personally.
I try to be young all the time.
Good. So today you being a youth, joining the demonstration today, what really prompted your decision to join your party? Yes, I know you are an executive member, but what prompted your decision to really say, let me leave my home, come out there and then join the NDC?
I think what's happening in the country just calls for the expression of anger, the expression of outrage. So what we are seeing is simply a people who simply have reached a point where they say enough is enough. I mean, they can no more take what is going on. The culture of violence, the culture of impunity, the creeping dictatorship, I mean, the culture of silence, and all the wrong things that are going on in the country. So this is something that every Ghanaian should actually come out and express their anger at what is going on.
We've had several groups coming out to express their displeasure with the government, looking at the Fix the Country Now, Fix the Country Ghana. Now, most of them are saying they did not make any progress. You think the NDC is going to make any progress with today's demonstration?
No, we believe that this is something that different groups have to continue working, because we are dealing with a very stubborn group, a stubborn government. The government themselves opened the floodgate to what is going on in this country today. So the more, the merrier. So we need to encourage as many people as possible to mobilize and protest against what is going on. So NDC is opening the gate. We want many other people to do the same thing as well.
Like I asked your colleagues in the NDC, after today, what happens? Because is it going to be a one-day thing? Once you're done with the demonstration, that is it? Or we are looking forward to seeing more?
You know, the thing is, when you are dealing with a government that is stubborn, you have to make sure you keep the pressure. So there are different ways in which the pressure is going to happen. This is simply one of them. There are different other things that are going to be done as well.
So that was coming from Fifi Kwete. According to him, they are dealing with a stubborn government, and then they would have to do more to be able to make sure the government listens to their displeasure or the comments they are making about the government. We also have the Dominic Ayine. He is the former Attorney General. Good morning, sir. Yes, fine, thank you. I was telling your colleagues, it looks like most of you are looking young this morning. Coming out to join this demonstration, peaceful demonstration like the national chairman termed it. You are here today. Why the discourse?
Well, it's a demonstration of our dissatisfaction with the governance of our country. You know, when we adopted for ourselves the Constitution in 1992, we wanted a paradigm shift in the governance of the country. We had moved from a military regime under the Provisional National Defense Council, the PNDC,
into a constitutional democracy, and we wanted a country governed by law, a country that adheres to the principles of the rule of law, and not a country that is lawless, a government that is more interested in the suppression of our rights and our freedoms. So that paradigm shift is what we voted for in April of 1991 when we went to the referendum. Sadly, the people who even campaigned vigorously for the paradigm shift, including our current president, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, are the ones who are now, governing the country. And for some paradoxical reason, we are now having the suppression of our fundamental rights, that people cannot peacefully demonstrate in Ejura without being shot, maimed, and killed. That we cannot have the freedom to speak our minds without being terrorized by the security forces. And so what you are seeing here today is, for me, a demonstration of the dissatisfaction that we have with our government.
From where you stand, or you have had experience with the justice system, lots of so many years of experience, comparing the justice system before and now, how would you assess it?
Well, I would say that the justice system at the inception of the Fourth Republic was much more proactive, much more interested in upholding fundamental human rights, and so on. I'll give one example. For instance, in the case of MPP and the IGP, which concerned the right to demonstrate, okay, that went before the Supreme Court. There was a challenge to the application of the public order decree, which at the time made it mandatory that you could not go on a demonstration without the permission of the Inspector General of Police. In other words, the Inspector General of Police was the one who had to determine whether and the extent to which people were allowed to demonstrate. The New Patriotic Party, led by people such as Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the late Peter Lajete of blessed memory, and so on, went to the Supreme Court. They challenged the constitutionality of this law, and the Supreme Court was very, very, very clear that we could not have a situation where the Constitution guaranteed our right to demonstrate, our right to, go on public protests and so on, only for someone to use a statute to fetter that right. And so the Supreme Court declared as unconstitutional the public order decree, all right? That was at the inception of the Fourth Republic. Today, what are we seeing? We are seeing a situation where anytime people want to demonstrate, the police will go to the court, go and get an ex parte injunction given by a judge, of course, sitting in a court of competent jurisdiction, basically saying that we cannot go on the demonstration because the police do not have sufficient numbers in order to protect our rights. Now that is being used incrementally to fetter our right to demonstrate. And I think the judiciary must sit up, I think the judiciary must do well in order to be able to protect our rights.
So that was from Dominic Ayine. If you've observed, the place is gradually turning quiet because they are ready to move. They are moving out for the demonstration or the walk. So it has already started. We are joining them on the field. We have lots of the executives, lots of party faithful taking the lead. So let's get inside already. There's been some chanting that has started already. So in your shot, we having some of the executives mounting the podium to formally address the demonstrators or the protesters before they leave. So this march is going to be on the Perbia 37 route.
Right, so that was our reporter Shadrach Ejari at the demonstration, the starting point of the demonstration by the NDC Youth Wing. That's the Accra Mall area, and you watched him speak to some officials of the NDC. We'll speak about the demonstration later on. We'll be bringing you updates as well from the sport. But Doc,
Randy, yes. So I was saying that because the state engages private organizations to carry out services, if they make profits, it is not really news. That is not to say that procedures should also be breached. I am for going by laws to make sure that we get value for money. So these are things we should look out for. I agree that being a pandemic is not an excuse to breach laws. Even in worst case scenarios where laws have been breached, there must be ample evidence.
In fact, the beauty about our procurement laws,
it makes
provision
for emergencies. Yes,
for emergencies like this.
Absolutely. So assuming that you go beyond those, provisions for emergency situations, there must be sufficient grounds. And I'm not a judge. I'm not the, yes. So if any forum ask you to come and justify, including the courts or whatever, I am for we getting closure or achieving closure to all matters. Now, let me just quickly do some clarifications here. When Ghana Health Service said the Delta variant was not in the population, they didn't tell a lie. It's because the news that came out was that it had been found in Ghana. Yes, it had been found in Ghana, but it was in travelers. And we have a policy where all those who test positive, not all, most is done randomly. They send some of the samples to Noguchi and to West Africa, the Center for Cell Biology, so that we have an idea of the types of variants of COVID that we've sampled. And some came out positive for Delta. So when the media house carried it, it sent the perception also that, it was in the community. And Ghana Health Service issued a statement that, yes, we've isolated in samples, but it's in travelers who are isolated and they mix with the population. And they even added to their statement that until they carry out surveillance in the community, they can't say for sure. This came from the same Ghana Health Service. And that is how a scientist behaves. Until you get the evidence, you can't speak to it. So they said, we don't know for sure that it's here or not. But for clarification's sake, even Professor Wandari admitted that this was sampled in what, travelers. Now, this time, which is the 2 weeks later, 1 week later, it's science. I can say no because I don't have the evidence. If the next day I'm giving the evidence, and as a scientist I've assessed and it's valid, 24 hours I'll tell you another thing. So it's all about science. And this time, those who were sick, and people should understand what surveillance means. Surveillance starts from diagnosis all the way to prevention, management. For those at Achimota to think of COVID, if someone comes to me with flu symptoms as a doctor, the differential diagnosis or the number of things I'll be thinking of can be up to 15 for cold. Why would a doctor think COVID? Because as part of the surveillance, all doctors have been trained to think COVID ASAP or with the slightest, symptom. So it took health officials who are part of the Ghana Health Service to diagnose COVID. And right, they didn't end there. They isolated the patients as part of government's protocol. And guess what? Over 843 samples were taken. All this is in harmony with government policy. These are not things happening by chance. For those who make a lot of effort to rubbish or to eliminate the input of government, it will be impossible to achieve that particular thing. Now, all these 843 who were sampled in this high school, none of them pay for their PCR test. It fits into government policy. 843 people tested for 3 cases. That tells you that this is a regime, or this is the team, the service that is being supported by their government to carry out their work. Those who came out positive were also isolated and are being monitored, are being given the necessary attention. Those who were sick were treated for free. I've said it here before, I'll mention it. It's part of government policy. Anyone who attends any government hospital and is confirmed as a COVID case, all their treatments is taken care of by government. That's the government policy. This logistical operation that sent sanitizers and face masks and all that to all secondary schools across the country, involving millions of cedis in terms of expenditure, it was borne by government. And we are here saying we should adhere to the protocols. What are the protocols? It's wearing masks, keeping a distance, fumigating places and all that. All these things are being undertaken by government. So we should not create the impression that, the grace of God, of course, is superior. But, God uses human beings. And so we should also be honest enough to appreciate those efforts that have been made. You talk about enhanced contact tracing. What is enhanced contact tracing? Where you find 3 positive cases and end up testing 843. What could be more enhanced than that? That's what we mean by enhanced contact tracing. You don't just go to sleep. When they detected 3 cases in the high school, they didn't go to sleep. Now, let me take care of these 3 and go to sleep. They went after 800 plus people. That is a massive operation. And you are using health workers. You are deploying people. They are making calls. They are following contacts. That's a lot of work. So please, I mean, I'm not saying we've been perfect in all this COVID management, but there's so much effort that is resulting in the situation that we are having. You talk about contracts and all that. I mean, you talk about institutions that came out to show that there's been corruption with COVID and all that. Look, SEPA is one of them. You know that they are your friends. I've listened to the guy.
You mentioned Transparency International.
He wants to do propaganda, so he won't
see Transparency International.
He wants to do
propaganda.
I didn't even mention as
I'm coming. So okay, I'm happy that now you've more or less denied.
I'm not denying it. I'm just saying I'm speaking to the facts
of
what I said. But because you want to do because you want to do propaganda, you go and pick the one that suits your propaganda.
I was only clarifying the institution, but once you say you've not said ASEPA by inference or extrapolation, ASEPA is off your list. So I thank you. Now I mean, and Randy, look, like I said, the ultimate goal is to save lives and preserve livelihoods. That is not a ticket for anybody to make a fortune. But like I said, once government engages business entities who survive by means of their margins or profits, I mean, you have people who would, how to call it, be in business. Because, I mean, if you have someone who is into sanitizer production, and now COVID is here, and one of the main tools is sanitizer, that fellow would experience a windfall. It's like those who are into virtual platforms, like Zoom and the rest. All the stock data shows that most of them have doubled or quadrupled their profit, because we are in times where it's just...
By increasing their prices?
No, it's the usage.
Yes, by volumes.
Oh yeah, but of course, but now more people are using something. And you see, I'm just trying to make a clarification that when someone in a particular business finds their products to be of a necessity in a particular period, those people will experience a business boom. It doesn't mean that all their boom could be due to legitimate means. If anybody proves...
Dr. Kowa, what would be the rationale for a government in a pandemic that has been procuring an item at a cost to decide to procure the same item 3 times the cost?
Or Randy, like you see, the devil, they say, is in the details. So some of these things, it is when we've had the opportunity to...
You know, I raised that because
documents.
I don't want you to create the impression
that those things are not existing.
That they are justifiable.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
No, I'm not. I'm saying that I'm listening to you.
Yeah.
And within the context of the discussion.
Yeah.
If you're not careful, the impression that you're creating is that
all is well and good.
But some of these things are justifiable.
And on the reverse, there's also the impression that sometimes comes out that anyone who is in business because of COVID is making unjustifiable profits.
No.
You see, so it's just the balance that I want us.
I mean, for example, things like Frontier don't make sense. And I've said that many times.
Yes,
but I mean, yes, I've said that. I mean, I've expressed my view about it and all that. They just don't make sense.
Yes.
And I even per government's own positions on certain things in this country and how to go about certain things, that thing simply doesn't make sense. You know, and like he said, I haven't seen what he's talking about, but he says that they have it. I'm sure that they probably will make it available. You see, so back to this issue.
Yes.
The other angle. Let me just. You remember when the president's address, the one around the May Day. You remember that one?
Yes.
He told Ghanaians that by the 15th of May, we would have 1.3 million doses of Sputnik.
Yeah.
You remember?
Yeah.
The Health Minister Ajman Menu had earlier told us that the 16,000 that the guys brought showed that they had the capacity to bring, and that by the 28th of April we're going to get 300,000.
Yes.
When the news broke about this Sputnik, and as part of their justification about COVAX, I told them that the earliest we could get will be end of June. And we couldn't wait for the end of June. So we had to enter into a buyer's market and sign all those sensible things that we signed, you know, and parted with something and all that. As we speak today, per what I read from what Dr. Kuma Buaji was saying, we're actually waiting for COVAX and the US. You know, the US is releasing a lot. Although he put a line there that, oh, and we're also exploring the opportunity of buying some. But the truth of the matter is that as we speak today,
July.
Yes, today, the 300,000 April 28th, it hasn't come. The 1.3 million the president told Ghanaian workers and by extension Ghanaians that was going to arrive May 15 hasn't come. The justification for entering into those sensible contracts, because COVAX had told us that earliest will be June ending, has not happened.
Yeah, Randy.
Yet we are paying more, $19.
To be very honest with you, I know you have issues with how the arrangement that brought Frontiers was couched. I know you have issues with the cost. Those are the two things I remember you have issues with. But as someone who understands disease transmission, the dynamics, had it not been for the testing at the airport, I can say absolutely that our situation would have been very, very bad.
I don't think
Doc,
Randy disagrees with that.
Doc, from Laboni to here, you've heard me. Defend the policy. In fact, even the double layer.
But you see,
I have defended it.
I have also accepted. I've also told you my appreciation of your position. I mentioned the two. But sometimes I don't want that part also for me as a public
to be lost.
Because I've watched the transmission.
No, you see, nobody questions the rationale behind testing people at the port. That is the contractual arrangement.
And just as I admitted his two positions that he's always stood by, I just wanted to also mention the part that for
so
me,
you can mention it, but not make it look as if.
No, but that's not what I've told you.
The argument is against.
We've gone back and forth, so it's not something I'll go over again. But my point is that, looking at how the situations we've gone through, the numbers that are recorded among travelers, and how it impacts our situation, I know that if we had not had such a policy, our situation could have been very, very bad. Randy, with the vaccines, I think that sometimes the best way to appreciate the situation is not to look at your case alone, Randy, as an isolated case. Let's look at as a continent. We have colleagues, we have neighbors, we have contemporaries on the continent. How is, let's say, South Africa faring when it comes to vaccines? How is Botswana faring? How is Egypt faring? It is only when you start to look at those ones, if there is difficulty every other place, then it gives you an idea that it's not that you are sleeping on the job, but there's a difficulty that you are confronting, Randy. At the time we had these estimates and projections, India had not experienced this is it second or third wave, where over 100,000 people were dying in a day, Randy. And that made them change their policy of exporting the vaccines. And this is the source for COVAX. That platform that gave vaccine, almost every country that used AstraZeneca over the past few months, especially in Asia and Africa, received their AstraZeneca from COVAX, Randy. So really the supply situation was hit, and that affected our projections. I mean, that is something that we will not shy away from. And I feel sad when I hear commentary that tries to close eyes to the global situation. We are in a very bad situation, and unfortunately, even the WHO has mentioned vaccine nationalism, where countries that produce the vaccines are giving it to allies. You look at Canada, you look at Israel, there are countries that benefited hugely. Japan, from the COVAX, from Pfizer and Moderna, because it's coming from the US. If you look at UK, the AstraZeneca plants that were manufactured in Europe, even other European countries were complaining. You know, so Randy, this is a government that will do everything we can to make sure that we get the vaccine. I mean, why would we, in fact, and I've explained here, the same Russia that deals direct with nations also gave consignment to a private entity that gave them $5 billion to develop the vaccine and said, you can either get it from us or go to them.
Yes.
Yes.
They made it public.
Absolutely. So even when you see anybody going to that private entity, really...
But that's not where we went to.
No. Oh, Randy.
Doc, that's not where we went to.
Not
for the 2 or 3 things that we didn't go there.
Oh. You see, the entity, Orogov, they more or less gave certification to private companies to talk to nations or to people who are interested in the vaccines. You know,
none of those we signed with has that certification.
Oh,
none of them.
Well,
Doc.
At least I know one that I've seen a letter saying that they have the rights from
the one that the group that brought the 16,000.
JNU, I'm not talking about the Arab.
No, but the group that brought the 16,000 is the same group upon which we made a promise of 300,000. It's the same group upon which we made the promise of 1.3 million.
You know, it's because
they have no such certification.
I said I know.
And as we speak today, they've been unable to deliver.
Yeah, I said I know at least. I have cited one of the companies who
was contracted.
Yes,
at how much?
I think it's about 18.5 or so. I have seen the letter.
I hope it's not SL Global.
I said I've seen. I don't want to, because when it comes to entities.
Because you see, that 18.5 that was said.
Yeah.
The letter written by the ministry to the finance ministry does not reflect the 18.5.
All right.
And I have that letter here. I can show it to you.
Yeah, Randy. And if you watch my approach, the discussions, how the arrangements are crafted, what goes into them. I mean, by the time this thing started, I was not at the ministry. Yeah. I am not saying that it is all pious and whatever. My point is that there are situations or conditions that made us go to the open market, because some have said, why go to the open market? In fact, some even assume, some commentary I've listened to, some people assume that the open market is not even legal or it's unsafe. But I make the point strongly that Russia as a state or a country gave the authority to a private entity to trade their vaccines for them.
So that's not where we went to.
Oh,
that's the point.
But my at least one of the letters I cited shows that Orogov, which is this entity, has given them the mandate to try and front for them or to deal in the vaccines for them. And I have cited one letter. Now, Randy, and market forces, if Suheni or any entity or individual knows of a particular place where today we can get, Sputnik or any vaccine for the prices they are quoting within the time we want it. I mean, why would we go for a vaccine at 18.5 or 19 when you can show us a warehouse that this is available?
Doc, let me ask you a question. See, Ghana as a country, have we granted permission and access and legal backing to the producers of Sputnik to come to Ghana and conduct trials for their Sputnik Light, which is supposed to be the 1-dose vaccine? Have we done that?
Yeah, I know it's being trialed here.
So we have that engagement and relationship with them, that we can open our doors for them to come and conduct trials for their 1-dose vaccine. And we are unable to utilize that platform to get Sputnik V from them.
Yeah, Randy, so I'll make, I don't know what I've said here, but I'll make some disclosure, 2 things. And most people are not aware. I mean, the last time I wanted clearance as to whether I can mention some of those only. And I get the impression it's allowed. We engaged RDIF, that's the Russian agency that deals directly with the government, like you are asking why we can't do that. The contract they wanted us to sign had some terms and conditions that we as a state were not comfortable with.
Which
and I'll list 2 of them. And as I speak, we are still engaging the RDIF to make sure that those 2 clauses will be looked at. The first one, that they had a take or pay ingredient in there.
Explain that.
Yes. So they are saying that, okay, first of all, you have to lock in. Lock in means they have a minimum you should take. You can't go like, I want 1 million. They were looking at, I think, between 15 to 20 million vaccines. So we had to lock in ourselves as a country with 20 million.
15 to 20 million.
Yes. So what it means is that when you lock in for the 20 million, even if supply situation has improved with AstraZeneca, you know, remember, even assuming you are getting Sputnik for $10, there are others that are cheaper. So assuming next month AstraZeneca becomes, supply situation is good, you still, even if you have AstraZeneca, you've been bought it or you've been given as a gift, you still must pay for the 20 million even if you don't use. And we said no. The way vaccines operate, every single day supply situation can improve. So if we lock in to pay for 20 million, and it so happens that we have gotten vaccine from other sources, including the Johnson & Johnson, other cheaper ones, we will be forced to pay the Russian government through RDIF all these quantities, even when we've had better options. So we're looking at take or pay being taken out.
So when was this?
No, I mean, these discussions have been going on. But
so you're saying that we've been holding these discussions prior to the Ministry of Health
entering into agreement.
Press conference explaining the 19 and all that.
No, absolutely. We've been having.
Really?
Oh, Randy, that's why I said even because the negotiations are going on, and you know, country to country, when you're having negotiations and not come to agreements, sometimes you don't want to discuss all the ingredients and what is needed.
Okay, so this is the first part.
Yes.
So what was the second point?
Yeah. I mean, the lock-in in terms of the quantity was one, and the take or pay, where even if you don't come for it, is the second. Now, the free market one, the ones we tried to purchase, all these conditions were absent in them. So that one, we're looking at a few to just about, let's say, 1.5 or maximum 3 million. We're looking about some 3 million.
No. If you look at the two contracts, if you look at the Dubai one, and you look at the SL Global, we're not talking about a few millions.
Oh, Randy, it was, to be honest, it was not more than 5 million. I've seen one that was up to 3.4, and there was one that was up to about 2 million. Now, guess what happened? So the way these ones were structured is that although we stated 3.4, we pay for the quantities that we receive, unlike this one.
Yeah, but we're still going to get
but the contract was couched in the way that if at any point supply situation has improved for us at other places, we could get out of it, unlike this one where we had to lock in. So really, the strategy, the minister then, I mean, when I
read the contract with the Sheikhs Group, I didn't get that impression.
Oh no, I mean, it was based on...
No, what you had was a delivery schedule.
Yes.
When they would deliver this. But the contract was for this number of vaccines at this amount of money. And then there was a table to show when X number will be delivered until the last delivery.
Absolutely. But there was a caveat that said at any time, based on some reasons, we could, as in get out.
Not in that one.
All right. Yes. But the point is that most of the clauses that we felt were inimical to us or could tie our hands were absent with the
and how much was DFID selling to us?
No, as for DFID, what I know, not from the specific discussions, but what I know is that the ex-factory price, as in what they've said all over, is that at their gates is $10. So you have to find your ways to cut it to your country and all that. And when I checked, I think average one dose, you're looking at $2.5 to $3 on one dose. So assuming we are dealt directly with the RDIF, you're looking at, let's say, $12.5 or $13 per dose. Now, so Randy, my point is that these were ingredients that, and sometimes it's difficult when you're in government. You know that these are information that would give people an idea why, on the surface, it looks like, why don't you take it this? But there are things that are tying you. And at the same time, because you still are engaging, because it's possible that we'll get some good stuff from their deal or the engagements that we are having. At a point, the position was that all should not come on because we are still talking. But it's difficult to explain the free market thing without these disclosures. And so, Randy, they had these terms which we felt that were going to tie our hands. And that is why we had to, go to the free market. Again, how the contracts were couched, what went into them and all that. I have established the principle that allowed that. But the sanctity, I mean, if anybody wants to question, I believe that the ministry should be willing in the position to give those details. And if we can prove that something untoward has happened, why not? I'm always for sticking to public laws. So that is the explanation. And I think those on the COVID task force, together with His Excellency the President, nobody has stopped talking to anyone who can be of support. I mean, we are doing both bilateral and multilateral engagements. We are using the Africa Vaccines Platform, AVAT, as we speak, Randy. We've committed, we have actually paid about 15% of the cost of 12 million vaccines from the Africa Vaccines Platform, and they are hoping to give us AstraZeneca or COVAX. So it's a supply situation that is difficult, but whatever we have to put in to get the vaccines, we are doing our best to try and get it.
Randy, I was just enjoying the, back and forth and the Okoboy's attempt to still justify what clearly, even in his heart, you can tell is unjustifiable. Suggesting, for example, that issues with the arrangement and the contract to test people at the airport suggests or means one is against the policy of testing people at our entry port. It's neither here nor there. It's just because of the inability to defend or rationalize what is happening. Then he creates the impression that that's what we mean. Because in my initial submission, I even spoke about the fact that it is worrying that the testing only seems to be happening at the Kotoka International Airport when we have several land borders. So that clearly is an indication that...
I know the land is closed on paper.
Yes. On paper, yes. On paper. But we know that people are still coming in and going out. So
but you can be testing. You can be testing people who are.
I mean, I watch a documentary.
You should be arresting them.
No, exactly. But I watched a documentary recently. I mean, sometimes there may be some critical cases.
Like you say, it's
I watched a documentary recently at
yes.
TV3.
Yes.
I mean, it was aired on another TV station. Sorry for mentioning the name.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Where they
we can test them later, feed the data to
where they expose immigration officers charging people 15 Ghana cedis and 10 Ghana cedis to cross. Immigration officers. I mean, so it tells you that we need to do something about the supposed, closure at the border. Not alleged. I mean, in their uniform at the border.
It makes nonsense.
Randy,
but
let me just make the point.
But for numbers, what you said makes nonsense of closing the border as a measure.
As a measure, yes. So rather you should have some, perhaps testing going there and looking at critical needs. People who critically have to cross using the land border. You can do some testing for them to cross. So we are not against the policy of testing at our borders. The issue is with the arrangement that has been put in place there and how it is a rape on the scarce resources that we have, and that cuts across many other contracts that we have already spoken about in relation to the handling of this COVID. But then again, he makes the point about the Delta variant and how my initial comments about the fact that the handling of information by state agencies and state institutions make it difficult for us to believe what is being said. You see, listening to him again, try to clarify the issue. He leaves me with the impression that clearly it looks as if the media was even ahead of the state institutions. So if the media reports that the variant is in the community, yes, even if it's an assumption, it is a precise assumption. But I'm saying that. So what was the rush? What was the need for?
It's just clarification.
No. Listen. For example, that report. You see, when you are talking about information management, especially in public health, that report was going to let people be alert to protect themselves.
No. There was
now, what was the haste in countering that report?
What about AstraZeneca?
Wait.
That is said was not effective against them.
Can I finish? You are introducing another topic.
No, but it was part of the report.
I'm saying that.
To clarify.
What was the haste in countering the reports that it is in the community, only to confirm the report a week after?
Confirm how? What is confirmed? They
to
only
confirm that it is actually in the community.
It's not what they said that was confirmed.
So it was unnecessary in my view it was unnecessary in my view to contest what has been reported by the media. If you are handling a situation where you need the citizens to also, conduct themselves in a particular way. Accurate. To you see, I can interject very much.
Today,
but because I want us to,
I'm surprised.
To understand
and
appreciate the discussion that is going on. That is why I've allowed you to go on, and I think you must respect and recognize that.
Yes, sir.
So for me,
yes,
clearly, his attempt to maybe poo-poo what I said earlier about the handling does not wash. It rather goes to confirm the positions that I've always held, that the government seem to be behind, they seem to be too late in the actions that they take, they seem to be reactive, and they focus more on announced policies and programs, and very, very late or nonchalant when it comes to even implementing those programs and policies which sound very beautiful. They also focus on profiting from the pandemic, unfortunately, and perhaps moving forward, that has to change. That has to change, because if people think that they can get away with some of the infractions, especially the procurement infractions that they are engaged in, they have to think again. I mean, it is said, and I believe it to be true, that the wheels of justice grind slowly, but it eventually, gets to its destination. And so, if you have a certain, protection today, and you think that protection will be around forever, and because of that you can, in the name of not in normal times, just engage in blatant corruption and get away with it, I think you have to think again. Let us focus on fighting the virus, and doing so at minimal cost, when we do not have to burden the state coffers unnecessarily. And that is, in my view, a more responsible way of dealing with this. I mean, clearly the interaction that has just gone on the Sputnik procurement shows that the arrangements were not tidy, and the best interest of the state was not what guided some of the decisions that were made. If, for example, in July, 6th July, we still do not have Sputnik, we do not have AstraZeneca, who are we to blame? Because if the rationale behind some of the dubious, arrangements with regard to procuring Sputnik was because we couldn't wait until end of June to get AstraZeneca, which was more tidy and perhaps more straightforward. If we are in July and we do not still have Sputnik, and we don't also have AstraZeneca, who do we blame? How did that come about, if not because of state inefficiency and inability to handle the situation? So let us admit that in the last 2-3 years, the handling has not been the best. The focus has been wrong, and I have said repeatedly that the focus has been based on, the focus has been motivated largely by procurement, just for friends and family to enrich themselves, unfortunately, or grandstanding, because you don't want me to use PR, I'll say grandstanding, So we need to admit that to ourselves, and perhaps begin to engage better and focus more on fighting the virus, resourcing our research centers better to do proper research, because I know that the professionals that are in that sector are committed to getting a breakthrough and also putting Ghana's name out there. But for the lack of resources, they are committed to doing their job. The nurses, the doctors are committed to making sure that Ghana's best foot is put forward in this fight against COVID. Even as individuals, if you look at how largely we have comported ourselves during the lockdowns, and when it comes to obeying the protocols, you can tell that there is a certain sense of patriotism to make sure that Ghana scales through and does so well. And so when you have state institutions, especially being led by political appointees, failing all of us the way that they have been failing us, it calls for concern, Randy.
All right. I'm just saying state political appointees are failing. I mean, you know that is his judgment, you know, but like I said, if you look at our overall situation, I mean, this is a situation that it's largely under control. A lot of people put in their best, and we are not at 0 cases yet, but we should continue to adhere to the protocols. It's not a failure. I mean, the model here has been an example to many countries who are still sharing with us. So let's criticize where we have to criticize, but not to create a situation that is a hopeless situation. That cannot be the
Dr. Koboy, there are people who took their first dose 4 months ago.
Yeah.
We're in July, first week of July.
We're looking
there are
for
people who took their first dose first week in March.
Yes.
From the point of view of efficacy, how efficacious is the one dose they took? And I'm saying this because at the start, and you and I have had this conversation before, at the start we were told that we were going to do 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And then later, the Ghana Health Service did a revision and said 12 weeks. And said that even the 12 weeks was okay, it was good enough. Now, for many people, it is now 16 weeks since they took their first dose.
I think it's important, first of all, to let those people understand that we are doing what is humanly possible to get the vaccines in, so that we meet the 12 weeks threshold, which, like I said, we've actually passed.
Is that good enough? Is that a good enough response?
That's why I said, but what else do you want? Do you have a warehouse where you can give us the vaccines?
Look,
I mean, we are going everywhere.
I want you to look at it from two.
No, I'm coming. The science, the benefits.
Yeah. So you explain the logistical constraints.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to. And the irony is that most of the people who are complaining, we've given them 2 shots. So
does it mean we should not worry about our brothers and sisters and comrades who don't have it?
But
I mean, that's ridiculous.
Do you care for those people more than us who gave you?
What is ridiculous? So I should keep quiet because I got.
I'm not saying you should.
And my neighbor can die.
If I were you, if I were you,
is that your logic?
Okay, let me tell my logic.
Dr. Kobe.
No,
seriously. There are over 500,000.
No, I know, Randy, I know. Yeah. It's important. Please. If I were him, I'll tell my neighbor that the one who gave me the vaccine, trust him to give you too. That is also another issue.
No.
Why do you create the impression that this is a government that is so hopeless they cannot? You can cover. Look. You should tell the people that the government has what it has to cover them too.
Even if you ask me to choose,
you share your story.
I would have loved my 2 vaccines to be given to that poor person.
Me too. But share your story. No, tell them.
What is to celebrate? What is to celebrate about giving the injection to just state officials who are failing us every day? What is to celebrate?
There are over 500,000.
What is to celebrate about giving state officials who are failing all of us?
It's a global situation. Supply situation is very difficult. When I meet people, it was not.
I can't believe your logic.
It was not easy and cheap to get even those who have been covered with the vaccines. We have to do, look at the one that came from Dr. Congo. We have to show proof that we are a nation that is very efficient in dispatching vaccines. We were chosen ahead of many people. That's how comes some of you, maybe including me and yourself, got a second dose. A lot of work went into it. So when people speak like, you see, why do people give testimonies in church? Because you know there are people having difficult situations who might not have experienced your miracle.
You know, so
let me come to your question. I just said there are always 2 sides to a coin. It is well and good when you say that, look, government, work hard to get them the vaccines. Perfecto.
Yes.
But there's the other side of telling the person you are speaking to that this gentleman I'm appealing to succeeded in getting me the vaccine. There is some possibility or hope he can also get the vaccine. No. That is also fair and square. No. Why do you want to rubbish that one? 2 sides to the coin.
Rubbish anything.
So the science.
I am simply saying that what is happening is not enough. It's too little, too small for you to begin to demand accolades and praise. It's too little.
Nobody has demanded.
That's what you are demanding.
Accolades
for giving me a vaccine.
Speak to both sides.
Seriously, you targeted 20 million. So far, you have done 1 million, and you want accolades?
There are folks who never know
how low the bar is.
There are folks who don't know.
Is that how low the bar is? You targeted 20 million, and over the year, over 6 months now, you have only been able to cover less than 1 million. And you want praise?
And you are speaking from your corner. You are speaking from your corner. How many have been covered in South Africa? How many have been covered in Morocco? It's a global situation. It's easy. You are in opposition. It's easy to say that go and cover them.
The bar is too easy. I am saddened.
That's when you look at it from your corner.
There are over 500,000 Ghanaians.
Who need it? Randy, we are aware. Who need a second dose?
Who are giving just one dose?
And we are working hard at it.
Told that they will get it in 8 weeks.
And you say I shouldn't be concerned about them because I got
on. And just hold on. And later it was revised to 12 weeks.
Yes.
And there was a medical, first of all, a logistical explanation. Yeah. And then a medical assurance that the 12 weeks was even better than the 8 weeks. It was within it. Yeah. As we speak,
we've gone past.
Many of such people have entered the 16th week.
Yes, yes.
So my question is, what is the efficacious level of their first dose?
Absolutely.
And if we listen to Dr. Kumar Buaji, he says that AstraZeneca, COVAX, and others say we should expect something by the end of July.
Yeah.
So if we're to take delivery by the end of July, I'm sure that we'll be able to deploy maybe first week in August.
Yeah.
Those people would have gone to close to 20 weeks after the first dose.
Yeah, Randy, so I had to first of all make the point that we are not a nation that is slacking behind or going to sleep when it comes to covering our population. In fact, when you look at Africa, averagely, most populations that are, Nigeria has covered 0.8 of its population, those who have had first dose. We have done about, like I said, 1.3. In fact, the absolute figures are here. We've covered for the COVID, we've given about 1.2 million doses, individuals.
Not 900,000.
No, I'm coming.
No,
please. No, I'm
it's
coming.
not up to 1.
I have the absolute, please. Total doses administered. This from the press review from Dr. Kumawaji. 1.261677. As at 30th of June 2021.
What's the breakdown of
that? I'm giving the breakdown.
Okay.
Why be patient? Okay. You want to believe your own.
No, don't go on.
No. Yeah. At least
you will come to the point.
First dose 864,000.
Yes.
980.
Yes.
Exactly.
Vaccinated with second doses 36396.
Oh, so the 1.2 something is an addition of the second dose.
One dose.
Of course.
Okay.
So that's why patient.
Less than 1 million. Less than 1 million people have been vaccinated. That's the point
I'm making is that if we had a situation that in Nigeria, in Togo, in Benin, in Botswana, in South Africa, they've covered 10% of the population, 7%, 6%, and we are hovering around 1%. I would go like, maybe they are doing things that we should quickly go and learn from. But I'm saying that this is a global supply situation.
Master, don't look at percentages. Look at absolute
what do you mean by that? Randy, look.
Percentage is track over the population of the country. So you said Nigeria has done 0. What is the population of Nigeria? Don't look at percentages. Look at absolute numbers.
Please. Can you imagine? He's a PhD holder.
Yes.
Who will look at absolute numbers? How do you make
but that is what tells you where you are going. That is what tells you the effort you are putting.
It's because of the end you want to achieve. That's why. Okay. But Randy, you know.
Doc, you know what?
Randy, you know absolute numbers don't tell you much.
Let's take a break, and then when we return, you answer the question.
He's been beating about the bush because he doesn't have an answer.
I have an answer.
We'll take
an answer. The people who go into 16 weeks, what is their fate?
The search for a reliable partner in dealing with buses, genuine spare parts, its repairs and maintenance at our highly effective workshop with remarkable speed. We also have available the seal of Camel car batteries, Weichai and Kia spare parts, Zonton coaches and light duty vehicles for everyday movement. Contact us on 020 000 0831 or 054 555 7500. You can also email us info@saautomobilegh.com or visit our website at www.saautomobilegh.com. SA Automobile, the pleasure of doing business with you is all ours.
bringing you Africa's creme de la creme's classiest hangouts, award shows, end-of-year parties, wedding, graduations, birthdays, fashion or corporate events. Metro Social has got you covered. We present Pizzazz with Je ne sais quoi. Give us a call and we will be there.
Whilst at that, join us on Metro Social every Friday at 9:30 p.m. and a repeat on Saturdays and Sundays at 8:30 p.m. on Metro TV.
Metro TV, insightful and inspiring moments.
Are you tired as a consumer in Ghana when it comes to issues that confront you as a consumer? Worry no more. Kofi Capito, I'm here to give you the information, all that you need to make sure that your right is protected as a consumer. We have too many laws and agencies that should protect the right of the consumer. I'm here to give you the information that will help and assist you to get goods and services delivered to you without any worries. Watch the Capito Show on Metro TV.
Right, welcome back to the show. If you just joined us, this is Good Morning Ghana live on Metro TV. Still with me on the show, Alhaji Alasan Suhin and Dr. Okoboy Bernard. I've just been informed that we can take a quick dash to the precincts of the Accra Mall where the youth wing of the NDC is gathering to embark on today's demonstration, and I believe that we still have Shadrach Ejari there to give us an update.
Since independence. And yet say, and Ghana, and you sort of for Tabutia since independence. And idea Ghana near Akawa say, maybe back to shout. Wouldn't recover for police station, and they would throw say, Rosin one, I thought to airport, JSA, we are granted. Ghana near, and they would say, Anka Obi, one, no process, Timia, Oba Soja Maniano, and that Soja no Nafa to Ekunkumu. To me, Yadisha President in Sano, Yanam about to also, and Yadisha in Sa, and then about to Onokra or Jeffrey and some. Ebraso, Nasa Opua Conta, or election moi. Soja for the boy mobile. Kofa Soja for say, what? No, I could say about to Onubakosu Yenu, Yanku, Teresa Grante. And ultimately, men on my Muyu Fufano, Ayade, Wamsame, Akokra, but many you Fufano, Yade. Someone sorry. Monsore. Namun cabin Traya Kokra Anja. Naya handi over the Amamo. Namu really Musa. The handi over Omaya. Ajapadianim. Omaya Yato Muajapadian, the Arabu Shapo. Murali Musa. Yaba handi over. Ghana, the democracy, Asai. Murali Musa. Attentrine, Enya Juma Womana. Murani Musa, Yaba handi over Ghana, Edia Mambo say, Eya Omaya, Obibo was Suma now Suabonubi, if we say Uni Prosia, Ukobana Maniana. And Unti Ayami that say, and then sorry. na mede mekasa koma mabuna aka no ya se walu obre no osofo obi osori kasa se otiwa ena Hitler ne nkofo ya ba fa socialist fo se yenkunkum wo mo otiwa ose a media minye socialist enti memfa ho every ho enu oti say ati ye mefa trade union empanimfo enkokunkum ọ̀rẹ́ ni hàn sí mídíà mi nǹkan hàn mí nyẹ́ trade union ni ẹnlẹ́ dídímú sáà ọ̀sẹ̀ à mẹ́mẹ́ nyẹ́ sáà nípa mi nǹkan hàn afẹ́ ewì ẹ̀kyerẹ́ nọ yẹ bá bẹ fáànù à ó tẹ́ni nà ní ẹ̀rẹ́ sẹ́ òbí gyina n'akyi à ọbẹ̀ bọ́ nà mà ní amẹ́nà bẹ́ gye nù nù ní àti obiara kọ wà nyẹ́ obiara amejeno etimi nuanom yade toto oman ya yetimu iwa sa yakum Major Mahama obia si onye soja ni emfa ne ho sa asem no yenim ba bia asi ya bekum Ahmed Swale emranti ase meme nya tentroni eti emfa me ho yaba bekum politini obobai amagule obai obia si onye politini ti akubrotia emfa ne ho ya tuaba ya kukum ni pa koche obia si babu NDC for the kukum ti emfa ne ho aya wa so we tu ogbon ya kabo yesu Obiasi, Minya and family. Yeah, 2 hours parliament. Obia order, I'm a soldier for any process for a Congress Parliament House. Obiasi, Minya MP and family. Yakum MP for you.
All right, so that's the youth of the NDC massing up and getting ready for the demonstration today. I was the General Secretary of the party, Asiedu Nketia, addressing them before the start of the demonstration. So look, there's still a lot of people who say that, look, please let Doug just answer the question. I'm worried.
Yeah, Randy, so they've done some studies to look at 1 dose versus 2 doses. What came out clearly is that 1 dose is better than no dose, and 2 doses is better than 1 dose. That one is clear from all the studies.
But there are studies that also show the recommended gap between 1 dose and...
So they did of course, because what even led to vaccines coming in 2 doses for most of them, like AstraZeneca, is that they realized that when people receive the 2nd dose, the immunity or protection is greater, is more, is preferred. It was above 90%. So that one is sure that you need the 2 to be guaranteed that you are safe. But they also realize that 1, for example, AstraZeneca 1, when you get 1 dose, in terms of hospitalization, the percentage is about 70%. But for 2 doses, over 93-94%. Now, Pfizer was as low as about 35% for 1 dose. 2 doses jumps to about 96%. So really, we all agree that 2 doses is the optimal. One thing I'm happy about is that we've not had any study saying that getting a 2nd dose beyond the recommended 12 weeks is not beneficial. You see the way I'm choosing my words well. So,
but there's a study.
Yeah.
There's a study that says that shows that the recommended period between a 1st dose and a 2nd dose.
It's 8 to 12 weeks.
It's 8 to 12 weeks.
That is true. That's
yes.
No, I know.
So when a person is currently at 16 weeks, and on the basis of what the Ghana Health Service is saying, the earliest they could get will be 20 weeks.
Yeah, Randy, you know, the way science operates, normally you can't lift the conclusions of one study to give you the results of another one. So, for example, if you want to do a study to see whether it really makes sense to give at all after 20 weeks, there is a way it is conducted. That's looking at benefits versus zero benefits versus no benefits.
It's not a zero, but for the study, there's a reason why the study said 8 to 12 weeks.
Yeah, so they get optimal.
And not 12 to 16.
No, I agree.
Or 16 to 20.
No, it's the ideal. We know. We also accept and agree that the study from the manufacturer is that as much as possible, target 8 to 12 weeks. Supply situation has made it. And
so 8 weeks minimum, 12 weeks maximum.
Yes. And I know also the UK, there were some countries that went beyond the recommended 12 weeks when their supply situation was, was not proper. I think the message that came both from AstraZeneca and WHO was that as much as possible, when you get it, give it. That's not to say we'll wait, it's okay, or we desire 20 weeks. It's the supply situation that has made that so. But I am saying here that the science is that when you have the one who has had one jab is safe, is protected or safer than you who have not had any jab, all things being equal. The one who's had 2 jabs, and remember, even with 2 jabs, you can get COVID. I think we've established here. So it's about risk measurement. Your risk of getting ill, should you get, of getting the virus. Should you get the virus, what is your risk of being severely ill? A jab reduces that risk. If you've gotten 2 jabs, what is your risk? It further reduces. So, Randy, I think we just have to keep on pushing hard to bring the vaccines in country for the 500,000 who need a second jab. The advice also have for them is that no studies have established that it's nonsense to to get the jab beyond the 12 weeks. It's late, but when it comes, take it, because based on the experience and the readings we've done, you still have some benefits in there if you get the second jab. I think
there are a couple of questions. You know, when you're speaking about the new strain, the issue about so just to support what you said, Kwame Samton, I was in Boston, says that 1 dose of AstraZeneca gives you about 55% protection. It's far better than nothing. In fact, the science tells us that it's better to vaccinate others who have not received the first dose than to give second dose of vaccine to those who have gotten their first. Okay. Now, you know, you spoke about free, those who go to government facilities.
Yes.
Okay. So, somebody says that I had COVID in February. Mine was at a critical stage. I was at the ICU at Reach for almost 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I paid for everything I was given there. I still have the receipts. Even the oxygen mask, I was made to buy it at Reach.
So what I know is that, he says the oxygen mask.
He says,
I
was there for almost 2 weeks. I paid for everything I was given there.
Yes.
I still have the receipts. Even the oxygen mask, I was made to buy it.
He mentioned the mask. I know the oxygen is supposed to be for free, Randy. I know that if you are on admission at the ward, there are ward charges, as in for being admission. I know that is supposed to be for free. Now, where we have issues, where I might tend to agree with some who send such message that, Randy, over the 1 year of COVID, 1+ years, we've continually reviewed drugs that we think that should be part of the protocol for managing. There's a case management team nationally. Fortunately or unfortunately, based on which hospital you go and which physician you are seeing, some teams tried some medication protocol and they feel confident with that particular one. If they prescribe a drug for you, Randy, assuming they tell you, look, you need this particular drug, we think can help you. If it's not established in our protocols, like maybe some antibiotic cover, which is basic, Randy, I know, even my brother-in-law experienced so, where you have to buy it yourself. Because they tell you, we think when we throw this at it, it can protect you. What we have to do, or what the case management team will have to do, and I'll suggest this to at the COVID meeting, is to take a look at the drugs that have been used by different management teams, and then have an agreement on some of them, and get it captured in our protocol, so that you don't only get it captured, but buy stock. Because I know one guy who went to Reach, there's a drug they wrote for them. When you go to Kolebu, the management teams there don't use it. But the one at Reach feels comfortable with that particular drug because he thinks that he used it on some other patient and it works better.
Bottom line is he paid.
No,
that's
but
against
I've explained to you that
I've explained to you that there's no payment.
If we didn't have the policy, he would have paid for the oxygen that he used.
He paid. You said there's no payment.
He said, I don't think it's for nothing that he mentioned a mask.
He said
maybe,
even the mask.
Yes,
that means he paid for many other things, including the mask.
Don't interpret for him.
But no. He said, I'm not interpreting. That's what it means. He said, I paid for everything, even the mask. That's what he said. Even the mask.
I'm saying that the mask, oxygen, if he shows me receipt that he paid for oxygen, will raise issues with the hospital. I'll ask them what happened. Oxygen is critical. It's not supposed to be paid. It's part of the things we give for free. If anybody goes on admission at Reach,
he said everything was for free.
Please.
That's why he sent the text.
No, please.
No, you are destroying
Randy,
your reputation with this.
I have experience with people who have admitted with COVID. This is not the first complaint I've seen. Normally, my brother-in-law, they say, the things he told me about are the drugs that the doctors write. Go and get this. We want to give it to you. But he was not charged admission at Kolebu. If he had gone for surgery, let's say hernia or whatever, you are charged for your admission at the hospital. Every hospital charges for admission. In COVID, they don't charge that. It's a policy. Secondly, the oxygen my brother received at Kolebu, he didn't pay for oxygen. But if they have to use, mask is a disposable. The oxygen is there, but maybe they have to get it. Even that strato sensor, I don't see why they should let you buy the mask. It should be part of the package. So Randy, these are things that we can investigate. But I'm saying, and I repeat it, I know numerous people, and you can get people. Your friend, there was the guy who set up the committee to the group to support nurses and stuff at the University of Ghana. Yes, University of Ghana Hospital. He said it. He was there for, I think, more than a week or two. He said it. Everything he had was for free. It doesn't mean it's possible when you go in, there will be 1 or 2 items that he purchased. So, you see, that again, that's my issue. There can be issues with the policy where we can improve or check who is trying to abuse. That look, you don't pay. But it doesn't mean that the policy is non-existent. There are others who testify.
Okay. The second one says that please ask Doc when the over 70% of nurses at the Achimota Hospital will be paid. It's over 6 months now since he promised them.
70% of nurses?
Yes. I think they are COVID...
Frontline?
Yes. He says you promised them, it's been over 6 months now. About 7% of them have not been paid.
The advice I'll give health workers is that if there are claims they believe are that is due them, and they have to push their management to make a case. Normally, they don't. The government ministry doesn't deal directly with they deal with the management of the hospital.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. We should be wrapping up. So many years.
Yes. And let me take the opportunity of wrapping up to urge all those who are still on their way to the demonstration that is taking place today to, as they say in military parlance, double their steps. Those who are still home thinking that this does not concern them perhaps should have a rethink. It may be organized under the auspices of the youth wing of the NDC, but it is for a cause that every patriot must believe in. The fact that justice is denied many families should be of concern to all of us, because you never know when you will fall victim. The fact that 16-year-olds who simply because they manifest their disappointment in how things are handled get amputated. 19-year-olds because they take part in elections get killed, and leave their families behind, should be something that we must all be concerned about as a people. And so I will urge everyone to disregard the fact that it is organized under the auspices of the NDC Youth Wing if you are not partisan, but to support the cause for which this march is being organized. Because justice is something that at all times we must, promote to be part of our lives. That's the only way our democracy is made meaningful. And so I urge all those who have the time to join this demonstration. Even if you do not, when you find the demonstrators, marching past you, whether in a vehicle or at your workplace, and you can afford to cheer them on, please do. It's also, encourages those who do that on our behalf when we do not have the time. So justice must be served for Ahmed Swale. Justice must be served for the 16-year-old boy who had his leg amputated only 3 weeks ago in Ejira. And justice must be done for Kaka. Whether Kaka was an NDC person or an MPP person doesn't matter. Like some people want to say he was our party member, so why are you taking? It doesn't matter. Justice must be served to him and his children. I listened to the daughter and I almost broke down, crying on the vice president and demanding the release of their senior brother. The senior brother of Kaka. I think, no family deserve that kind of loss.
Okay, Doc.
Yeah, do
you know Edim Wayudin?
Yes, I know him.
Okay, he says, for me, my question to Dr. Koboy is simple. When will his appointment come? It's long overdue.
And God's time is the best.
Hey.
God's
time is the best.
God's time is the best.
Let me say a very good morning to my mother, chief of staff.
Is that where the appointment will come from?
The family.
Is that where the appointment will come
we have a conjoined twins at Reach Hospital.
Yes.
2 kids joined at the head, and she led a presentation from His Excellency the President to support the family, about 50 million Ghana cedis.
Clarification: Is it the Republic of Ghana that is paying, or is it the President that is paying from his private funds?
Oh, the good news is that the family don't have to bear the cost.
No, I just want a clarification because there's some confusion.
Yes. Is it the finance ministry that is paying for it from the public?
Is it government of Ghana or is the president's personal funds?
Just the thought and the initiative alone, I'm excited about.
It's good, but let's find out where the money is coming from.
Come.
Oh, you don't know?
I don't have the details. Since you asked, I want to be very sure. But what I'm happy about is that the burden has been lifted off the family.
Very good.
And it's my prayer that the surgery goes well.
But people did well. My brother Alex Techiebua had written a check for 100,000. I think he did it through GH1.
Wow.
Manabas Group, yes.
Okay.
He had written a check for 100,000 Ghana cedis a day before the announcement by the president.
We thank all of them. And
very good public spirited people.
Yes. It's the way to go. Partnership to support ourselves.
That is why I get surprised that he says I shouldn't be concerned about those who don't have the,
let's end on the
vaccine. Because I got only 2.
And then Sheikh Isiko is watching.
Okay.
Agbena. And then my mother too is watching.
Yes. Mention and then
Mrs. Rebecca Kufado.
Okay.
The appointment, Mommy, the appointment is long over.
Professor Emeritus. No, you have to add
Emeritus. Yes.
Acknowledge the help I'm giving you. Mommy, the appointment is long overdue. Mommy, tell
Professor Emeritus Chiri Agbenyoga of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology.
He said he likes SMS. When he was the dean,
yes,
they used to call it SMS. Now the name has changed. So former SMS dean.
What's SMS?
School of Medical Sciences.
Okay.
And still Professor Emeritus of Physiology. Prof. Let me know Nani, and to all your church viewers.
All right. Okay. All right. So that will be for the morning. Thanks, gentlemen, for joining me. And thanks for watching. Happy birthday once again to you, Chris Hannett. Chris from California. Happy 60th birthday to you. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful day.
Metro TV, insightful and inspiring moments.